Hey, welcome back to Two Super Guys Trade Stocks. I am Dylan,
And I'm Vinny.
and we have a week from hell coming up, depending on if you are long or short. There are a lot of stuff happening to SPY. There's a lot of upcoming stuff this week. This is probably a decision point for the market. We're going to take a look at it, as well as some things to brainstorm. So,
Two stupid guys trade stocks.
all right.
Well,
Yeah, big earnings. Big earnings week, guys. Tuesday, there's obviously like way more companies than this. It's just these are like the notable ones. Well, there's other notable ones too. But Tuesday, Pfizer, Caterpillar, AMD, Exxon. Wednesday, Meta. Thursday, Apple, Amazon, Google, QCOM. So the reason why this is important, if you look at the SPY holdings, I'm going to move Vinny's face. If you look at the
hmm
SPY holdings, just in Exxon, Meta, Apple, Amazon, Google, that's about 15% of the SPY
that's
reporting this
insane.
week. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That is a massive chunk. All right. So this is going to be a huge week that will probably determine where we're going. Go to the next. Yeah,
And Jay
this guy.
Powell's going to speak. Will he move the market? That's a good question. Very good question, right?
Yeah, pretty much everyone. I put this percentage up there. I thought this was funny. There's a 94.3% probability. It's just a 0.25 interest hike. Now, there is some disparity. Some people are thinking this is the last one. Some people are thinking that there may be another one after that. So if he doesn't usually say what's going to happen the next visit, he's pretty doing his own thing. But if he does point 0.5, unlikely, all hell breaks loose. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I know, right? Like 94.3% is pretty convincing that they think this will be only a quarter point. But, you never know. Jay Powell may have a different mood. We got the PCE data that come out this week. That kind of, he's talked about that as being his favorite guide as far as inflation goes. And, it has shown the positive trend of cooling down some, but it's still well above his 2% long term target. So it all depends on how aggressive he thinks he needs to be at this time to eventually achieve that target.
yeah. And I don't know how they come up with this probability. Like, how do you calculate a prediction? Okay, all right, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
this is a graph. I just thought it was interesting. It was on Bloomberg, and they've been plotting all the hikes along with Bank of Canada because Bank of Canada just did a 25 rate hike. Maybe this is how they calculate 94%. But as you can see, we're usually pretty close. We're
Yeah.
blue is Canada. We're black, and we're usually quite close. Is the whole thing
Yeah.
there?
Yeah, Jerome Powell's talked about how the fact that they're not necessarily moving in lockstep with other major banks, central banks, but they are in constant communication and they are generally seeing the same trends. So that's why their moves have been highly correlated, if you will.
Yeah. Can you show that Burry tweet?
Yeah, so this is kind of the tweet we were talking about here. We did a separate video about this. He's going all the way back to 2001 and talking about this time period where it looked like the market had broken above the 200-day moving average, but it never took out this previous high. If you see our separate video, Dylan literally looked at it to the penny, and it just never took that out. And if you're looking at the SPY on a current basis, you're looking at like a 410 level. Basically, would be the equivalent of not taking out that previous high.
Yeah, it was like literally within like point 0.1. Like it was
Yeah.
extremely close. But there's some other forces at play here. So as you can see, we have the SPY. This is that level I'm talking about, 410.45. Let me see if it's actually 410.49. It's just a thick line. Um, you can see we completely broke the 200. We are kind of using it as a base. Let me use my face. Let me move my. Ooh, that's the wrong thing. There we go.
Always use your face.
Always use my face. So we are coming up on descending volume and slightly below average volume. That is a good part for me. We are above the trend line. I will cancel my shorts if we go above this. It's because it could go to 430 after that, right? And it
hmm
very well could come down after that, but not within the timeline of my options. So therefore, out. Not worth it. Just take the loss, move on, do a different one. Maybe short when it gets to 500. I don't know. Um, There is some interesting things though. So we looked at those companies that have a very hefty SPY holding. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Apple's approaching the 200 moving average, bounced off of it before. Meta, 200 moving average, literally, like Friday.
Yeah.
Google, same thing. We're about 6 points away from the 200 moving average. Have not set a high after this recent low right here. Boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And Amazon. Same thing. We're hitting the 100 moving average, and the 200 is about 11 points above it. So,
Yeah.
ton of stocks are at a decision point. And we have a week of earnings and Jerome Powell speaking.
Exactly.
This is kind of wild. There's a lot of things happening.
I know. The real question too is like, would you consider trying to mitigate your losses maybe with like a little weekly option? Huh?
I don't do those.
Really tempting.
I
Really
hate
tempting
them.
right now. The gambler
That's-
in me that was very excited about that opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny because you're the more conservative one, but you do that way more than I do. I'm not touching those. And here's why. This is the cues. This is not pretty for me. This is the counter argument to us going short. All right, slightly increasing volume, pushing up, very little resistance, went right above the 200, set a new high. Now we didn't close above the high, which is you want to close above the high, but it did hit it. So not looking super awesome for me.
Yeah. Looking for blue sky right there, huh?
Yeah, it's we'll see what happens. I have June puts of this year and June puts of next year. So depending on what happens, I could even roll them over to June of next year, as long as it's not super bullish, right? Because even if we stand still, I still lose theta. I still get some theta decay. So, yep.
Exactly.
Oh boy. All right, guys.
Catch the next one.
Be safe.